I love talking about beauty, obviously, and I love connecting to these people that make these products. But today I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about use less, love more, and how it came to me and what it means to me, and what it's becoming, what it has been becoming to mean to me. And I love talking about this topic, and I love talking about use less, love more with other people. For some reason, every time I bring it up, it really is engaging, and everybody wants to kind of talk about conscious consumption and how we can use less. So it's really fun for me to have started this conversation just in my own personal life. And this community really is helping to shift this consciousness around consumption. So before I tell you a little bit about what it means to me today, I wanted to share with you where it all started. And just like becoming conscious of ingredients and what I put on my skin and on my body came to me through my work as a spa director, so did sort of this introduction to using less and loving more. And it came through a very small decision that I made in my spa, in the spa that I was managing. And when you go into a spa, the first thing you do is you put on your robe and then you go into the waiting area. And the first thing that you usually do is you go and you get a glass of water, a cup of water, or a cup of hot tea. And when you're working in a spa, it's just sort of part of everybody's job that works in the spa is you're always walking through the spa, you're walking through the locker room, you're walking through the relaxation area, and you pick up the cups and you throw them in the trash, and then you go and you do something else, and then you come back 5 minutes later and it's full of cups all over again. So we would do this, everybody in the spa would do this all day, every day. And not only were we picking up a lot of cups, but as the spa director, I was ordering a lot of cups. So we had cases and cases of cups that I had to, kind of have on auto order. And I thought, this just doesn't make any sense. I'm going to look into bringing in reusable cups, glasses and mugs, glasses for water and mugs. And you would think this is a really easy decision to make. But it's actually not, because I needed to look into industrial dishwashers that could sanitize these cups in between use. And I needed to go to my general manager and get a capital expenditure approval. And this took a really long time. So finally, the day came that after months and months of going through this process, that we were going to switch in to these new reusable glasses and mugs for water and tea. And we made the switch. We had the dishwasher installed, and we still had to go through the lounge and pick up the cups, but we would put them in the dishwasher, and it was a whole new procedure. And I felt like we all thought it was like a good decision. We felt like this feels good that we did this. We knew it was good for the environment. But there was another aspect to it, in that it felt so much better to come into a spa and have real glasses and real cups than it did to have these plastic glasses and cups. And so that was kind of the first time I really remember where I used less and then I loved more. And the second thing that I really remember in the spa was there was a customer, and I remember this specific customer, and I saw this happen over time, which is what really laid the foundation for Beauty Heroes. But I remember this customer came in and she said, okay, she checked into the spa and she said, whatever you do, please do not sell me any product. She said, I just came from the spa up the road, and it was a competing spa of ours. We were in Napa Valley. She's like, I bought $700 worth of skincare there, and I have no idea how to use it. So I just want a facial, and I don't want you to sell me anything. And we had already kind of taken a more conscious educational approach to selling skincare, but it was kind of getting to a place where I really saw that customers were overwhelmed with product. I saw it in my life, I saw it in my friends' lives, and then I saw it in our customers' lives. And what happened with that particular customer was she was so adamant when she checked in. And then, so we went and, of course, I told the esthetician, don't try to sell her anything. Don't talk to her about product, just let her relax. And when she came out, she kind of came out and she said, I know I told you not to talk to me about product, but my esthetician used something really great in my facial, and I actually feel like it might be what I need for my skin right now, and I want you to tell me more about it. And I remembered that kind of whole process and, me telling her, let's find out what that was, let's educate you on it, and let's have you take that home. And if you love it, then you can learn more about this brand and you can learn more about this product. And, I remember feeling like so sad that she had spent all this money on all these other products and she, wasn't feeling connected to them. And that is what laid the foundation for Beauty Heroes. So now fast forward to starting Beauty Heroes, and I wanted to create a service that would slow down beauty consumption and really connect people. Excuse me. Sorry. Really connect people to products, one hero product at a time. And we started to send, we started our service, and it was really slow to be adopted. And it went so much slower. Like, we would talk to people about what we were doing, and, there wasn't really anything out there that was doing this, in this way. And it was really scary. And it was, I thought people would really understand it. And I remember this one customer wrote in an email to our customer service, which was just me at the time. And she said, I don't really understand your service. It's more expensive. It's one brand and it's one product. And what's the fun in that? And, when you start a company and you're doing something for the first time and it's like your baby and, you're hyper sensitive to anything. And you also, you're also really listening to your customers, right? You're like listening to what they have to say. And I remember, really taking that to heart and thinking, it played into, it obviously I'm talking about that customer today. Like it made an impact on me. And I also was sending our monthly discovery to some friends of mine. And I have a friend that I really respect, and he called me up on the phone and he said, Jeannie, I have to tell you, I really love Beauty Heroes, but I just want more. And he's like, I don't know what it is. It's like, you send me this thing. I really love it. The quality is really great. The products are really great, but I want more. And I said, yeah, well, I know you want more, but you're supposed to really just savor this for a while. You're going to get another product next month. Like, hold on, and I remember thinking, gosh, we're really using beauty as entertainment. And that's totally okay. It just was, this was like, I just started and I was getting all this feedback. And then I also was, kind of talking about using less and loving more. And I have another friend of mine who I really respect and who I think is very smart, actually. And we're having lunch and she says, Jeannie, I don't think you should go so hard on this use less thing. She's like, you have a company and you're selling products. She's like, I just don't think you should be telling people to use less. And I'm thinking like, yeah, you might be right about that. Maybe that's why it's going so slow, right? So, and then I had, and then another friend also, who I was talking to, a friend and colleague, and these are all like people kind of in business, and, you're getting a lot of advice. And she said, Jeannie, maybe you should pivot. maybe you should not do this concept that you have for Beauty Heroes. Maybe you should just do a sample box, like a really carefully curated, clean box of samples, because that seems to be a really good model and that a lot of people are doing that and they're really successful in it. So maybe you should just shift the model. And I certainly thought, I have to think about that as well. And I did. I went to, had some alone time and I had what I call a moment of trust, a moment of self-trust. And I thought really hard about all of this and a million other things going in my mind. And I thought, how could I help people kind of slow down and just bring a little bit more consciousness to consumption if I pivoted in this way? And how could I do that if I stopped talking about using less? And how could I really connect people to products in the way that I liked to be connected to them if I was doing, pivoted in this way, if I started doing samples? And I just realized that there was kind of no way around it, right? This is why I started my company, is because I had a real vision of what I wanted to do. And so the moment of trust was, if I can't do it the way that I want to do it, I'm just going to have to make peace with that and surrender to trusting that it's going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. Everybody's going to be all right. And that I had to trust my own idea, my initial instinct, which was to start Beauty Heroes the way that I started it. And so I moved on. I kept going forward, and slowly there was more and more adoption. And now, I'm here with all of you who really do value less but better, who really do want to be connected to your beauty in this focused and intentional way. So I am so grateful that I did have that moment of trust. And so using less and loving more, I didn't really realize this. This has sort of been evolving over time, but it started to become more of a practice of that is transforming and informing my whole life. And it stopped being sort of just about kind of using fewer products and using fewer things. And it started becoming more of an internal practice. So that's what I thought I would share with you a little bit today. I thought I'd share with you how the practice has evolved for me, and I'll start with what is most true for me. So there's an overarching truth that I come back to. And that is that using less always feels like love to me. And that might not make sense for everybody, and I know that, but it makes perfect sense to me. So every time I use less, I feel more love. And so through that, it's helping me live a better life, and a life that is more full of love. So I want to qualify this also before I kind of get into this practice and say two things. One, people have started to ask me, because I'm talking about this, if I live a minimalist lifestyle or if I'm pursuing that. And I can assure you that I am not. That is not my goal. I am sort of a normal mom and business owner, and that is not sort of the direction that I'm going, although I think it's fascinating. And I think we should, I really just come from a place of wanting to do better and wanting to do my best. The other thing that I wanted to qualify is that I come from the perspective of a Western woman who, I'm a middle-class Western woman. And so I feel like it's a real privilege for me to be able to talk about using less, because there are a lot of people who are not in this position who it's not even a thought to how I can use less. So I just wanted to qualify that I'm speaking from my perspective and from my life and from my privilege. And so, So here's how I practice using less and loving more in my day-to-day life. And the first step of this practice for me is self-care. And I think a lot of the reasons why we don't practice self-care is because we feel that it's selfish. And what I've realized is that I can't use less and love more of anything or anyone if I'm not first taking care of myself. So it's really not a selfish act for me. If I want to make good decisions in my business and for my family and for myself and for the planet and for my kid, I need to be in a good place. Otherwise, I will use more and I will definitely love less. So that is, today I really view this day as a day of self-care for all of us. And I think that is why it's such a relevant topic, is that we need to, is the first step is to kind of be in this place where we can actually go out and, make decisions from a place of love. The second step in my practice is to actually start with love. Our mantra is use less, love more, but it should really be the other way around. It should be to start with love, and that kind of always leads to using less. The topic of the straw, this was kind of an interesting thing for me. Somebody gave me a stainless steel straw a couple of years ago. And I'm one of those people that once I know something, I can't unknow it, right? So as soon as I knew that straws were as big of an issue as they are, I couldn't really, it caused me pain to drink from a straw. So I started to carry this stainless steel straw in my purse, and like Tiffany said, I would pull it out, and actually a lot of my friends in here have have received stainless steel straws from me, because what I started to do was I started to carry a straw in my purse, and I would go out in the world, and every time I would go out with my family or go out, and meet with friends, I'd pull my straw out and I'd put it in my drink, and it was always a conversation piece. And I would talk about it, and then I'd drink from my straw, and I felt like, wow, I feel good, And then my friend or my, whoever I was with was feeling like really bad drinking out of their plastic straw. And then I was feeling kind of not so nice, right? Because now I'm making them feel bad by drinking out of my straw. So that didn't feel like love to me, And I was like, okay, what did feel like love to me was actually once you start drinking out of a reusable straw, you won't go back to drinking out of plastic straw because it feels so much better just to drink out of glass or stainless steel. So that felt good. And I felt good that I was making a good decision for the planet, but I didn't feel good about making the person I was with feel like a jerk because they weren't drinking out of a straw. So what I started to do is I started to carry 2 or 3 of them in my purse. Actually, at one time, I think I had a bag of like 7 in them, and I would give them to my friends. I would say, I just bought a bunch of them, and I would give them to my friends, and I'd say I got to share it. And that felt like love to me. And so in your gift bag today, you each have our brand new glass, use less, love more straws. So I hope you enjoy them and experience that. The third step of my practice is to really take the long view of every decision that I make. And so we all do this to a certain extent every day, but the practice for me is really about slowing down and thinking my decisions, even my little ones, all the way through. And there are 2 things that have made the long view more in focus for me. The one is, as a business owner, you're making decisions on a bigger scale. I'm sending out products and packaging to many people every month. We're printing materials. And since I'm the buck stops with me and I'm the decision maker, I feel a lot of responsibility to that. So I tend to think about the long view of my decisions a lot more than I did when I was, making a decision for another company. It wasn't really, a lot of the decisions weren't mine to make. The other thing is becoming a mother. So there's nothing like thinking about the long view of the planet and and all of the decisions that we make for our children. So as a mom, that's something else that's really brought that practice really into focus for me. The fourth step is to know what I'm saying yes to. So sometimes, whenever I'm making a decision, I really try to think, okay, is this using, I kind of have to do this conversation with myself. Is this decision really about using less for me? It's not always clear. So I think about what am I saying yes to? And I'll give you an example. Last week, I was invited to participate in an event in LA, and going to that event required that I sort of take time away from my family and step away from my business for a little while. And I had to think, am I using less and loving more by attending this event? Is this really something that I want to do? And I just focused in on what am I saying yes to by saying yes to this. And so that's a part of the practice that I have and that I want to do. And I just focused in on what am I saying yes to by saying yes to this. And so that's a part of the practice that I have. And that what am I saying yes to by saying yes to this? And so that's a part of have. And that what am I saying yes to by saying yes to this? And so that's a part of have. And that what am I saying yes to by saying yes to this? And so that's a part of have. And that what am I saying yes to by saying yes to this? And that what am I saying yes to by saying yes to this? And that what am I saying yes to by saying yes to this? And that what am I saying yes to by saying yes to this? Internal struggle. If I say, okay, I'm making a difficult decision here, one that doesn't feel even ideal or it's complicated, but I can practice with love for myself, for the situation, for the others in the situation, or whatever the case may be. And then the last step in that practice is to begin again. So oftentimes I don't make great decisions or the decisions are not ideal. And sometimes I make great decisions, but just like meditation and the thoughts that come through us and always really needing to have that beginner's stance, is that each day, each decision is really an opportunity for me to begin again. And that is sort of the last step of my practice. So ultimately, what I discovered is that using less and loving more starts inside myself and it reflects outwards. And like I said, the overarching truth for me is that using less always feels like love. But there are a few other what I call truths that have come from this practice. So I wanted to conclude by sharing those with you. And the first truth is that loving more is always available, even when it doesn't feel like it is. So sometimes I feel like I don't know how to love more in this situation right now. How could I love any more in this situation? And I found that it always is available. It is infinite. The second truth is that loving more always leads to more love. So it's It's something that is really beautiful to me. It's a thought that actually really guides me, is that loving more just leads to more love. I've also, another truth is that I can't control or influence other people to use less and love more. And that's something that I have learned and I get taught constantly. I've learned that it's a day-to-day practice and not a destination, and something that I know I'll be practicing for the rest of my life. And the last truth is that self-care and self-love are essential to using less and loving more. And so thank you so much for taking this day of self-care, and so that you can go out into the world and use less and love more. So thank you.